Hey, how's it going everybody? It's Zuko. Thanks for stopping by. I wasn't planning to make a video so soon, but this topic is pretty important, and recently it has been brought up to me many times. I was kind of aware of it a few weeks back, but the issue is spreading, and I want to bring awareness to as many people as possible as to what's going on. This video is going to be very straight to the point because we're not really sure of what we can do about it, but the more that people talk about this issue, the more widespread it becomes, and then hopefully the people higher up at the companies and manufacturers who are making these figures will actually do something about it. So over the past couple of months, we've been getting some reports on figures and their paint deterioration or degradation, whatever you want to call it. There's a select few at the moment. Specifically 6 have been reported right now, mostly coming from Good Smile Company, Max Factory, and even Alter. And based off the current evidence that we have, it seems like these issues all point towards one manufacturing plant over in China named Shenua. I'm looking at this album compiled by F. Nober over on MFC, so thank you very much for these images. This first one just shows off a bunch of different HPOI albums, which is a very popular site based in China for figure collectors. You can look up these URLs yourself if you want to go through every single image. This is not a text file, so you do have to type them in individually. Maybe this was posted somewhere, but I did literally type in every single one just to get better photos for you guys. Anyway, we're going to start off with the Sakura Miku figure that recently released within the past 1 or 2 months. So as far as I know, this is the most recent release with this issue that keeps popping up. And even without talking about what's going on, you can very clearly see that there is something off about the skin on Hatsune Miku. In fact, with every single one of these figures, it's just the skin that is starting to deteriorate. Now, I should stress that this isn't happening to every single copy of any figure that we're about to talk about. If you own these figures, you might be okay, but at the same time, you might not be. But essentially what it looks like is if you just took the figure and rolled it around in some dirt. The figure's skin just gets very splotchy, gets a little gray or brown, and nobody's exactly sure what is exactly going on. Is this just dirt? Is it mold of some kind? Can you clean this up? I've heard a few instances of people being able to clean up these issues a little bit, but even if that was true, you should not have to do something like this on an anime figure that cost $100 to $200, you know what I mean? That's kind of unacceptable. Just gonna jump over to HPOI to give you guys a better look at these images, especially these illustrate this point I'm trying to make very clearly. I'm wondering if it's the finish they're giving to these figure skin, because very often, I don't own this figure so I don't know if this was actually how they did it, but there's a suppleness to certain anime figure skin that's very different from the clothing's plastic. You may or may not know what I'm talking about. Good Smile Company sometimes does it, Alter sometimes does it. Even the Kirby Nendoroid would be a good example of just a figure with a different type of more supple finish. It just feels so much softer to the touch. It gives it a more premium feel, but even in the case of, say, the Kirby Nendoroid, that figure also has issues. Over time, it gets sticky because of the plastic that they used in the finish. And in the case of the Robobot Nendoroid for Kirby, as good as the mech is, the Kirby itself got sticky a week later, and it just cracks over time. Something about the way they built that Nendo was completely off. Hopefully the re-release does not have those issues, because I was very disappointed with my Robobot Kirby. But we're not here to talk about the Nendos. We're getting off track a little bit. I'm just saying, maybe it's something to do with the extra finishes they're putting on these figures. But again, I don't have those answers for you because we don't really know exactly what's going on. This is just a recent happening, and we need more people to talk about it so this doesn't happen in the future. That's the biggest concern right now. Even if there's only 6 figures confirmed to have this, who's to say this isn't going to happen to future releases? If they're continuing to use this manufacturing plant, why would they change things all of a sudden unless we bring up this issue? Anyway, let's continue with the gallery. I do want to show you guys every figure that is currently affected with this problem. This is still the Sakura Miku figure, but these last photos really do show you just how bad this could get. And in the case of the Sakura Miku, this was a very popular release and people really want it on the aftermarket. It jumped up 10,000 yen. But would you really be willing to spend even more money on this figure if you know that there's a potential for this to happen to your figure? Next up, let's see, we have the St. Louis figure from Alter, another very popular figure. You can see the same issue is running through her legs, looking pretty dirty in this instance. This next photo, though, definitely illustrates it very, very clearly. Her back is just all messed up, and it just looks really bad, unfortunately. Some people are wondering if it's like a climate thing, if it's too humid where these people are displaying their figures, but even if that was the case, they were displaying their figures in some very like wet, humid area, this still shouldn't be happening. This isn't normal. Older figures from decades ago don't have this problem. You should not have to worry about this just because your room's getting a little hot. It's not great to keep your figures in a humid environment. You should avoid that if possible, but this is not normal. This next figure was the Hatsune Miku Blue Archive version. I think this one was made by Max Factory. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can see these like gray spotty marks all over her legs in all of these photos. Just the reoccurring issue. It's very consistent. It's like basically the same problem with every single one. I have not seen similar issues when it comes to the clothing, to their hair, to the bases. It's just the skin. So it's got to be something that this manufacturing plant is doing when it comes to the skin itself. This is the Blue Archive Alice made figure. I don't think I have any other photos of this one, but if you don't know what this figure normally looks like, I'll put it on screen. I'll do that for all the figures, actually. Again, just running through her arm, getting a little bit dirty looking, especially around the forearm here. Also, I should mention that she is made by Good Smile Company, just like our next figure, the Blue Archive Miyako swimsuit version. And I hate to say it, but the more I look at this skin discoloration, the more I'm thinking this might actually be molds. Perhaps there was a contamination over at the manufacturing plant, but instead of dealing with the issue, they just wanted to meet their deadlines and push the figures out. I mean, considering that this is only now popping up, they might have not even caught this when they were making the figures, but that's what quality assurance is for, so that this doesn't happen. And then our last figure, at least reported for now, was the Yukino Shita light novel version, which I personally thought was a fantastic looking figure, but even Yukino cannot avoid these issues. And while these aren't the most clear high-res photos, you could see like around the socks and by the skirt, that it's that same reoccurring issue. So yeah, you hate to see it, especially when you've owned the figure for quite some time. Yukino here came out in December, I believe, and that was 7 months ago. So you don't really know when this is going to happen. You don't know if your recent figures from Good Smile Company or Alter or Max Factory are going to have this issue down the line. I'm just gonna say it, and I would hate if this happened, but I bet the Mio figure from Xenoblade 3, one of my favorite figures this year, is going to have that issue. So yeah, we need this addressed. We need Good Smile Company, Alter, Max Factory to be aware of this situation. And I'm not even sure if other companies are using this specific manufacturing plant. Who knows? Maybe they're just much cheaper to use than other manufacturing plants, and that's why all these companies are using them. But if it's at the cost of our figures deteriorating only a few months in, then it's just not worth the extra money that they're saving using that manufacturing plant, because they're going to lose customers. And I'm just making an assumption that this manufacturing plant is cheaper. Maybe it's not, but it would make sense to me, especially from like Good Smile Company, because even with the rising cost of materials, they're still fighting to keep their prices down for the most part. And maybe this was just one of their ways of doing so, but they didn't realize that these figures would just fall apart within a few months' time. If you own any of these figures, be sure to check and then report whether or not you're good or bad, if there's an issue or if there's not, because the more data we have, the more informed we'll be. And if you do have some issues, I implore you to contact these companies if possible. It's definitely not the easiest thing to contact Alter. You might have to like ask the site you bought it from to contact them, but at least with Good Smile Company, we can directly message them, so take advantage of that. Plus, they're always on social media posting, so it's very easy to get in contact with them, or at least like spread the word that this is happening. Appreciate you guys watching this one. Let me know down in the comments if you're dealing with this issue at the moment. If you know anybody dealing with this, I would love to hear about it. Would love to talk about it. Hopefully though, none of you are dealing with this, but do know that this is a current issue. But that's going to do it for me. Hopefully you have a good rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys very soon for the next one. Later. Actually, before we wrap up, I would like to thank the members over on the Patreon for continuing to support my channel, with special shoutouts going out to Swoop, Nemia Dynaskull, Christy Eisenman, Aki Rusu, DT Perigi, Kaif Marie, and Magnatune.